Hello everyone, in today's tutorial we're going to focus on retopologizing a human head, focusing on creating good topology that's useful for animations and makes good deformation. Any of the resources that you see in today's video will be available, and I'll put a link in the description below. You'll get the high poly head sculpt, you'll get the low poly retopologized mesh, and you'll get this reference sheet that I'm going to use to kind of look at good topology practices. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump into Maya, I really quickly want to go over good topology practices. So I gathered a reference sheet of some examples of good topology that we want to things we want to keep in mind when we're topologizing the face. Kind of this is probably my go-to example. I think this is kind of the practice I implement the most in my retopology. But you can see here, we have what's called animation loops, highlighted in these colors. So we have the eye animation loop, we have kind of the raccoon mask animation loop, we have this animation loop that follows the laugh lines, kind of where the cheeks meet the mouth, and then we obviously have animation loops around the mouth, and sometimes the nose will get its own animation loop as well. So something I do want to mention though, if you look at all these different examples, they're not one for one the same, and I think that's kind of important for people to understand. I know when I was learning this stuff, I like one for one tried to follow like each polygon and laying it in the same spot that the person I was following was doing. But really, that's not the case. You'll see some tutorials too where they're like count out like how many polygons are going to go around the eye. I think that's helpful in some cases, maybe when you're learning, because then things connect correctly. It's more predictable. But as you'll see when I get started, I kind of just lay stuff out, and I make it work. And that saves me some time, for better, for worse. So yeah, these are just good examples. I'll have this up on my other screen just to make sure I'm thinking about certain animation loops, and whatnot. So yeah. Oh, this is what I do want to point out too. So it's really important that we're thinking about these and we have good animation loops and face topology, because if when we go to rig and animate our character, we will want to make sure it has good deformation. Obviously these examples are kind of what we want to, they're not kind of, these are the examples we want to avoid, because just skinning and animating them, it's not going to give us desirable results. Even just thinking about if we don't animate these, they're not like good topology practices even if we weren't going to animate them. Struggles to capture the form a lot, especially these two. So keep those in mind. All right, let's jump into Maya. So we have our head sculpt, and we're going to use Quadra. Like I said, this model will be available in the link in the description below. But you can really use any like high poly heads sculpt or scan data and kind of follow along. If you do use scan data, it's going to be asymmetrical, so that presents a different challenge. But this is a perfectly symmetrical head that we can do. I'm also going to assume pretty much if you're in this tutorial, you're fairly familiar with Maya's Quadra tool, but I'll probably end up explaining it as I use it as well. Just habit out of habit. So I'll go to the modeling toolkit Maya and I'll hit Quadra, but obviously nothing happens. So that's because we have to set our high poly as our live surface. So even before I do that, what I like to do when I'm quad drawing is I like to assign kind of a more shiny material that catches the light. Sometimes it's helpful. So I'll right click, assign favorite materials, and I'll add a blend or a Fong, but we'll do blend. So that way you can see the forms a little bit better, right? So now that we have that, I'll select the head, um, enable live surface. So now we can't select it in our viewport. Now we'll go to modeling toolkit, quad draw. And yeah, we can start quad drawing on this surface. Since this is symmetrical, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on symmetry in the x-axis, and I'll just double check it, and it looks like it's working. Cool. The first place I usually start is around the eye. I try to get that eye loop in first, and I'm going to. I'll probably add more resolution for sure. But the main thing is we got to make sure it loops, right? And I'll show you how we can make sure it's looping. Okay. So right now I'm focusing on the eyelid. I'm kind of I'm not really counting. I'm not going to count how many polygons go around it. I'm really just trying to capture the form. I'm making sure they're small enough to capture the form, but I'm not going too crazy. I'm not doing like this, right? Because that's just going to be a nightmare. And I think this might take some time and just practice and studying other people's um, topology. And then you kind of get a feel for like how big you should make these. And obviously, I will end up probably coming back in here and adjusting them. Okay. So I'm going to go around the tear duct as well. You can see in my reference, kind of goes around the tear duct. And this is tricky too because I don't want a lot of edge loops going into the bridge of the nose. That's a rigid spot that doesn't deform as much, but I do need quite a bit to kind of follow that shape, that curvature around the tear duct. Something I do want to try to keep in mind though is like cut the eye in half. So if you think about it, these polygons are going to be the top half and these are going to be the bottom. So what I am going to do, even though I'm not going to count them one for one, I'm going to make sure these have partners. And that usually makes for cleaner topology. So what I mean, it might be easier if I like do something like this and then I can go delete it later. So I want to make sure these have partners. Now I'll delete the, that's like sitting way back, okay. I'll delete the inside when I'm done. But just so there's a visual representation. Normally I don't really do this, I just kind of count it out, but so it's easier for everyone to see. Okay, so here you can see we need one more. It's fine. Let's go ahead and space these out. Still making sure, even though it's not going to be perfect, want to make sure the spacing between the polygons is even, or it like gradually shrinks and grows in polygon size. It's not too abrupt. Okay, I think this is good. So again, kind of that crease in the eye, that's going to be where I cut in half, and then the middle of the tear duct. So you just want to make sure these are even going up and down. And then if you do end up adding more, just make sure you're thinking about the other half. So I kind of want to add one more here. So let's go ahead and just do that now. I want to capture this shape better. And this sculpt has a pretty prominent eyebrow ridge. which could be a little bit tricky to deal with, but I think we'll be okay. All right. Looking good so far. So we'll definitely come back to the eye and like get the inside and add more definition if needed. But this is a good start for creating those animation loops. So what we can do is we can start bringing them out. So I'm going to hold tab, and I put these there so I can like control the polygon row that I extrude out. So I'll hold tab, middle mouse click, bring these out. Now I'm kind of looking at kind of the fat that sits inside of the orbit as my guide, whereas I was using the eyelids as a guide in the tear duct. So yeah, that looks pretty dense. Let me space these out a bit more. Tab, middle mouse click. Like I said, this is a little bit weird just because his ridge is so extreme. Some people's like eyelid is really tucked up underneath that fat pad right there, but we'll make it work. Again, making sure it's an animation loop. So if I hold control and kind of hover over this ring of edges, you can see perfect loop can go in there. And that's what I mean by animation loops. I kind of forgot to explain that earlier, but better late than never. Okay, I think that's looking good. Actually, do I want to follow the orbit itself? Let's try that. We're going to make it bigger. And then I'll cut in an edge loop, I think. I'm ready. Yeah. So you'll see this, we're not really capturing this shape right now, but I'm going to insert an edge loop and then we'll capture the shape. Because sometimes it's easier to like make the loop a little bit bigger and then insert an edge loop around it. I'm going kind of slow. You can like rapid fire this and then adjust it later. I just like to make sure things are working. So I can hold control, middle mouse click, and then that throws a loop in there for me. I think that's pretty good. So we'll be good with that. The next thing we want to do is make sure we have that kind of raccoon mask, that hero mask, going around both orbits and across the nose bridge, across the eyebrow, the brow ridge. Okay. Something else we can do too is hold shift, and that like relaxes. I'll probably be using that a lot when we do the forehead. So let's do. No, let's not do the brow ridge first. Let me space these out. This is looking kind of close together. Okay. Let's bring this one up. Let's bring one down. We'll bring it out kind of far. So now I can use tab. And I think I want this to be probably 2 animation loops to make that mask. 1 or 2. I think I typically do 2. Tab. Okay. And then let's connect these. Come on. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Shift. This can probably come along for the ride still. Okay. Let's start defining the nose shape a little bit. So I have one right there. Let's do 2. Yeah, I think I put too many for the eye, but that's okay. We will make it work. Okay, so now we got 2. Now we need one right here. So this is what I was talking about. It gets a little bit crazy right here, right? Because you have all these going in. So I'm going to try to relax it and see if it looks too bad. I think this is fine. Okay. Bring this up, actually. And let's do one there. These down. Space these out nicer. And we'll clean that up later. Alright, so now let's get some of that topology that follows the laugh line going on. So it's kind of tricky. I've seen some retopology where this kind of keeps looping into, like, on itself on the jaw. I think both methods are okay. So I've seen that method. I've also seen where the laugh line kind of goes into the jaw and you end up having, like, this topology that goes like this. So instead of looping it down, we kind of loop it going under the jaw. And then the chin and jaw kind of have their own loop. And really, I'm not a professional rigger or animator, so I don't know necessarily what the pros and cons are of each method. I think I've done both, to be honest. I really like this method because it defines the jawline, but I can definitely see how, like, having this loop in on itself would probably give you nicer deformation when you, like, open the mouth and stretches the muscles and whatnot around the mouth. So let's do the loop one, but I'll keep it like that for now. Let's start getting the mouth loop in. And same concept with the eye, right? The upper part, you want to kind of match the lower part. So this is the midpoint. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5. And I'll probably cut in more for sure. 1, 2, 3. 4, 4, 5. Make sure it's a loop. And let's cut in 1 here and here. So we have more resolution at the corner. And I'm pretty sure you can, like, go really low when you retopo. This one is probably going to be like mid poly count. It's not going to be super, super high, but it is definitely higher than some of the examples you see in the sheet. But I will I tend to lean a little bit higher in poly count, just to make sure I'm capturing the shapes nicely. I don't know. I feel like I spent all that time sculpting, so I just want to do it justice, you know? Oops, I lost count. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think we can leave that one. Bridge here. And let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I am. So let me do this though. Okay, so same. Let's push you closer. Get one more here. Okay. So now you can see how we're like starting to connect the loops. And this is my process for starting to connect the loops. The eyes and the mouth are pretty important, so those are going to be like the two that really let me know, inform the rest of my retopology. Okay, let's continue this loop right here. Hold shift to relax. I think we're capturing the shape pretty good. I think this one will continue. Just looking at my reference as a guide. I think that's capturing the shape pretty well. Let's do this. I think I want to do the jawline method. Let's do one more loop. Hold shift to space those out. Okay, so this is where our pole is going to be, and I think that's okay. That's a pretty rigid spot on the face, that cheekbone. Instead of that, I don't know why, I really like to just lay down polygon by polygon, but definitely utilize like the quadra features or tools to make your life a little bit easier. I think in my head I'm like, well, I know I'm going to have to go in there and adjust it anyway, so I might as well lay them down. But it is quicker if I just like extrude that whole thing out and then tweak the polygons. And again, it's really not about like following polygon by polygon what I'm doing. Like, I think again in the beginning you might have to kind of count it out a little bit, just because like eases your mind and you know you're not doing something wrong. But it's like I'm really just going in and focusing on making sure I'm capturing the form as best I can. Um, my animation loops are decent and lining up. This is gonna need to be 2. Yeah, you see how it's not capturing the form right there? So I'm definitely gonna need to insert another loop there. So let's just make this bigger. Bump this up. Bring some of these down. And boom. So we got that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, and then I can just block out like the jawline a bit more, and I'll obviously have to cut more in to make it match up. All right, so we're getting there, and I will admit, like the nose, it's different every time I retopo it. You really want to try to get a loop going around the nose for sure. So yeah, let's start doing the nose, I guess, since we're here. Do I have enough topology? Pretty sure I do. Sometimes because it's again a loop around the nostril. That's pretty easy. So if I'm kind of stuck, start blocking that in. The nostril. Uh, I'll do it pretty low. Okay, we're not too far into this process. I'm hoping this only takes no more than an hour, maybe a little over. I think we're doing good on time. Bump this in the nose a little bit more. Let's do here. And we can start bridging across. There we go. This over here. Yeah, I think we're doing a good job. So yeah, like I said, the nose is like tricky for me. This is our laugh line. We want to continue it going into the nose. And I think I have maybe too many coming down here. So what we can do... Let's just leave it for now. I just see like we got a lot of polys coming into the nose right there. So, and you don't necessarily want to, even if this is going in a game engine, like we can use tries, but like you don't want to try right there, right? It breaks the animation loop. You might not get good deformation. So we'll just let's see what happens. I think if we can get them kind of going into this curvature part of the nose, we should be a little bit better off. Okay, so I'm going to start to kind of make the loop for the nose. I kind of put it on the nose. I think some people will put this like loop outside, and then they'll have a loop on it. So let's try to do that, but we'll have to come in here and adjust some things just to make sure our polygons are spaced a bit nicer. And I think we're going to have a pull here, which shouldn't be too big of an issue. So again, this is kind of what we're doing. Let's block it out really quick. Want this loop to go around. I think we want it around the bottom too. Might have to give myself a little bit more resolution, I think. Let's delete. Well, we want to make sure we keep this, right? This is our loop. Probably want to keep this one too. This is our loop. If we need a little bit more topology here, but we don't necessarily want to cut more going in to the mouth, we could do this. Breaks the loop, but I think it's not the worst. We still get the loop right there and right here. Breaks it up a little bit, but this will give us more resolution for that cavity right above the upper lip and going into the nose. So we kind of get this new kind of cool loop, but it breaks the loop a little bit, but you can see here, like, these are still good loops. It just gives us more topology to work with. So let's see what this does. Okay, and I'm just really being careful to make sure I'm capturing the form. Oops. And that should be a loop. So I still got my loop going around the nose. And come on. This one's not going to be a perfect loop because it goes into the nostril. But I think, well, let's make it a loop. That's pretty easy, I think. Might not have enough topology. Yeah, we don't have enough topology going in there to do that. So let's just undo, and we'll live this. Oops. Okay. All right. Get the bridge of the nose. It's pretty easy. And the nose, it's another tricky thing is, like, people's noses can just look very different and have different proportions. So I think that's something I find challenging. Is sometimes making the nose this is gonna be dense. One, two, three, four, and two. So I need something like this. Just gonna block it in real quick. And yeah, again, I'm trying to maintain all quads for like this part. Oh, that's not too bad. It is kind of dense right here. I can relax it. It's not the end of the world, I think. Yeah, it's a little dense, but not the end of the world. Okay. Nose, nose, nose. Alright, let's do this. So this is like really where I'm like just freebasing it to get some. Let's continue this kind of loop line, I guess. can always relax. It's a little bit confusing too, just the visuals with quadra. The nose is overhanging, so you kind of see the nostrils and whatnot. Continue this. Okay, so I think that's not looking too bad. Just looking over at my reference, seeing if there's anything I can kind of do a little bit better. Okay, I know the center line. This is kind of easy when you're stuck. Kind of going over to the center line and just finishing that kind of loop right there, right? Now we need more resolution, so let's just boom. Oop, I don't think those are connected. Come on. Something's not connected there. Come on. There we go. Got a really bulbous nose, so I want to capture that form. Why I'm okay with like putting more topology in the nose is because like if you look at this character from the side, you're really gonna see that silhouette. So anytime you see a silhouette, and again, it depends on like the use case for what you're making the character for. But like, I just want to make sure my silhouettes aren't looking too chunky, too low poly. So I'm okay putting a little bit more resolution into that nose so the silhouette looks decent. Again, I don't want to go overboard, but see how this is looking. So you can see here, like, that's not looking too hot. Maybe let's just move this in. So we have a lot of edges coming in here anyway. It's kind of forming a little bit better. Okay, now it's just the game of closing this off. Again, still making sure it's conforming nicely. And I think you would be okay to start like hiding little tries in here if need be, and we might have to get stuff to line up. I don't think that's the end of the world because like yeah, your nose can scrunch right here. You just don't want to put like the tries in this area. I think, but if you like hide them like right here or something, it should be okay. I think. Let's see. This. I think that's capturing the shape. I'm gonna check it after I do the nose. I'm just gonna check my low poly and make sure it's not looking too bad. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay. We'll just. This worked out pretty nicely for us actually. I don't know how that's gonna look, so I'll have to check that. just going out, spacing out since I added a couple edge loops, so stuff connects pretty nicely, actually. I think it will. Okay, so we got boom, boom, boom. Gonna have. Did I count that wrong? I think I counted it wrong. Oops. Yes, that's right. And then I'll just shift, smooth that out. That actually worked out really nicely for us. Again, this is like maybe smooth this out. All right, let's take a look and see what it looks like. So in my channel box, I have the high polygon layer. So just go to object mode, get out of quadra. It's not looking too bad. What are we looking at time? We might go over the hour. It might be an hour and a half. Okay. I'll smooth results too. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. I think the chin is a little choppy. So I'd probably add more topology, like maybe one more edge loop going in the chin somehow. For the sake of time, I'm probably not gonna do that. Since I'm out here, let's just delete history, freeze transforms, and I'll go back into Quadra. Oops, select my low poly and Quadra. Okay. I think we're good. Like, these are the main landing marks we want to make sure kind of connect nicely and whatnot. So now, let's go finish the mouth up. So the mouth is tricky. If you're doing a character, obviously the sculpt, the mouth is closed. But if you're doing like a character, they're gonna need to probably open their mouth and stuff. So you don't want to close off your retopo. So I'm gonna make a loop, and these are gonna be pretty close together. Oops. And we're just gonna leave a little gap. Come on, there we go. A little gap where later on, probably not even in this tutorial, but we can make like a mouth bag. You just manually like extrude it and from this opening. Okay. Probably actually need a couple edge loops. Hopefully. And you don't want them to connect, and you can make this gap pretty small. And if need be, you might need to lower the... But you can see we're missing a lot of detail right there, so let's just do a couple edge loops. Boom, boom. And now we filled out those lips. Let's do a bit nicer. Half. So, again, if you hold control, middle mouse click, it throws it in the middle. So that's kind of what I'm doing there. To kind of make it spaced more evenly. We can... Oh, let's give us a little bit more resolution in this part of the nose. think that's gonna not be too noticeable. We'll just add like one more edge in there. I think it's gonna help. Okay, so once we have that, we can close that off. I'd probably honestly, sometimes it's tricky with a circle to do tab to get the whole open edge loop. I might bring it up to here, and then I would just extrude in regular edit poly mode, cap it off. Same with the eyes. Oh, we'll go back and for sure kind of work on the eyes a little bit more. Space them out. That's good enough for now. Okay, looking at the eyes. Let's get the thickness of that eyelid in there. And obviously, eyes themselves, the eye itself, it's going to be a different mesh object. So that's a story for another day. I didn't do a good job sculpting the anatomy of the tear duct, like the cruncula and stuff. That's kind of my bad. Not as defined as I would like it, I think. Again, I still want this loop though, making sure. Going around the eyelid, and I'll cut some loops in. You can usually the eye area is pretty hefty in terms of loops and whatnot. Want to make sure you're defining that shape. So once I have this, what I might do is push this in. I might do here and here. Kind of really capture the kind of angle change, I guess, of the eyelid. You can space these ones out if need be. For the sake of time, I'm not gonna spend too much time on them. Those ones out. Maybe we'll do one right here and right here as well. Or just throw it in the middle. And yeah, that might be overkill, but it's doing a really good job of capturing that shape. And even this, you can see oh, maybe we do want a little bit denser, but honestly, even if I was doing this for film, I would model it like this, and then for film, you might smooth it out one more subdivision, right? And so it kind of gets rid of that artifacting, that faceting kind of thing. But for games, you're typically not gonna smooth it out, right? If you model it super low, maybe you can then smooth it and reproject it on, but right. So honestly, oh, we should do the inside of the tear duct. It's kind of the same concept as this part. It's it moves, but it's like the eyelids close around it, so we can you're gonna be pretty loosey goosey with this. Just make sure, again, decent topology. People's tear ducts are like defined differently too, so just making a loop for it. I don't think I'm following the anatomy of my scope. Oof. Okay, let's. Yeah, I'm not really. It's not good. Again, having that blend material like really helped me see that. Let's go ahead and hide the eyeballs. And we'll just make it so it's a loop in there. And yeah, I'm not gonna do it in this video, but I would just go ahead and like maybe do one more loop, and then close it off. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that whole loop, but I would just loop that off, close it off. Okay. Forehead, pretty easy. The ear's kind of tricky. Let's build, I think for this tutorial, we'll build this, kind of start the head. But then after that, it's pretty easy. We'll see how far we go. This needs to space out more. It's a really big polygon. There we go. Okay. Let's look right here. And I'll hold shift, or tab, excuse me, bring this up. And so what I like to do is I like to do the same thing like we did here. It kind of limits how many edges are going up into the forehead because we don't need that many. So what I'll do is like something like this. And this can actually help with like animation and stuff too. Do we need one more loop though? We might need a loop here. No, that's too small. So this needs to come up higher. We're gonna cut one more in. So yeah, like when you pinch your eyes or scrunch your eyes, that I find that extra little loop there can kind of help with the formation. Bigger. I'm gonna cut it in half, so. I think really I usually only do like one. I guess if we wanted to, we could like terminate that one too. That's probably overkill. Not do that quite yet. Yeah, it's like we really don't need this coming in. I wonder what this would look like. I've never done two. I mean, we could do that, to be honest. I don't think it's a bad thing. kind of matches the density. So yeah, let's work with that. Gonna smooth it out a little. Okay, start changing the direction. Yeah, and then this is pretty much like we can bring this up, so I'll hold tab. And once you get to where you think, like the head, your head wrinkles and stuff right here. It depends on how you're gonna rig it and using like displacement maps or just normal maps, kind of blending to get the wrinkles in the head. I don't think, unless you're doing like high quality films, you're not deforming the wrinkles in the head, right? That's kind of a different. I think you would want more topology if you're doing that. But for our purposes, we'll keep it pretty simple. But since you don't get a lot of deformation, especially in the top of the head, then you can start like making tries. And typically, if your character has hair, I would like go to where the hairline or you're in the hair and start doing this. But you can like start doing some tries to reduce the poly count, because you don't need all these like going up, especially if you have hair. Okay, so that's a technique you can utilize. I'd probably do that one more row up, but for the sake of time, I'll just keep it as is. Let's look at the ear. I know that's going to be a part that's tricky for a lot of people. What I'll do is start blocking this coming into the ear. I think we can get away with one. Oh, we got pulled in. Do this. That's not. Just using big shapes to block this in. Okay, start matching it up with our laugh line. This is like the puzzle part of retopology, is like making stuff work, I guess. That I find interesting and frustrating for sure. I'm being really loosey-goosey with this. Like, you can see I'm not tweaking the vertices as much as I was in the face, because this, yes, this is an important area, but it's like I can, the definition is like not too crazy. There's not too many crazy shapes going on, and I'm gonna relax it after the fact. Let's do here and here. I can easily just go in there. Okay, ear's always kind of fun. You can be a little bit naughty with the ear, to be honest, because it doesn't really move all that much. So I'm trying to kind of prep a loop to go around it. Sometimes if I need more topology going into the ear, I'll like start doing techniques that like split it off Um, but yeah. But when I do this, obviously it like breaks a loop, so I don't have a perfect loop going around my ear, and I know a lot of people do have like loops going around the ear before they get kind of crazy with it. So now I'm gonna start thinking about like the other parts of the head. Oops. I'm gonna redo that. I don't like how that's turning out. The ear stuff. But we'll tab. Start making the loop for the and I'll definitely like edit this as needed when I bring all the geometry going into the neck. So we got that in. Doing the dome is like really annoying, but I will get the ear in first. Before I worry about that. Tighten this up. A lot of the times I will hide like a try right here. Kind of depends. Keep it a quad. Okay, with this one down here, I want to see if I can like keep this though. Again, just trying to see if I can get a whole loop in there. And I think I can. Just keep a loop before we do the crazy stuff. And again, it's really just about following the forms of the ear. So understanding the underlying, I should have said this earlier, but understanding the underlying form of the anatomy is pretty important. Okay, so I'm gonna loop this in here. It's gonna need to split. This is going to 2 Why isn't it connecting? Cut this for now. It's kind of getting annoying to see it, but you have an idea. Like, I'm going to want to create a loop, but I might as well just like delete it for now, get this loop going to see how many edges I have to work with anyway. Okay, if your quadra is starting to bog down, you can always delete history freeze transforms on the low poly object and go back into quadra. It's one trick. We're looking at on time. Oh, not too bad. An hour and we're on the ear. Let me just try to speed it up a little bit. I've been going kind of slow. Again, trying to make sure, following the curvature, things are evenly spaced. Trying to see how I can start linking up these loops. This is going to need a lot more resolution than just these. So let's do this. Curvature in the ear gets pretty intricate here. It's going to be a lot of like trying to create more topology for us to capture the shape. And you can see something I'm really avoiding throughout this whole process is like if I need like a polygon here, I don't want to just insert an edge loop there because then it runs into my eye and stuff. It's like that's something I'm really avoiding is like I don't want to insert edge loops. Like I want to localize where the density is occurring of my topology. So that's pretty important. Let's do this. That's not looking good. Put a polygon here. And shift. Oops, tab. Shift is extrude in regular edit poly mode. That's why I make that mistake sometimes. I'll need more resolution going around here for sure in some spots. But this is pretty naughty. But it gets the job done. That needs. You know what? I am going to. For a couple tries here. We could loop it up in here, but I think we got enough topology for going into the inner ear. And this looks already pretty crazy. I could have done a better job of like looping some of this stuff, I feel. It's not the end of the world. Okay, let's take a look back here. Okay, so we're gonna want probably two faces coming into here. That. It's just a puzzle right now at this point. There we go. Need a little bit more resolution to capture this bit. Can insert edge loop there. Okay. It's not looking too bad. Let's continue this. I think this is gonna. Like I said, it's pretty chunky right here. But I kind of still don't want to deal with the extra edge loops yet, so I'm just gonna deal with it being at a lower res than I want it to be in the end. Yeah, there's good resources out there too for like topology on the ear that you can study as well. Again, if you know like the shape of the ear, you kind of got this spiral thing, and you got this Y shape that comes into here. This merges in the Y shape. Those are like the three basic shapes in the ear. All right, I think it's time to again. Let's do one or two. No, I hate when it does this. And once we've put them in there, though, we gotta kind of tweak them a little bit. Just so, make sure that curvature is nice. And I threw this one in. It's super helpful because I can use like that those highlights as guides from the blend material on the high poly object. That's pretty good. Okay, I think that density is okay. Oh no, this went behind. Now I think so we need a little more resolution for sure going into there. So we'll do this. And it's nice to get the loops for the form of the ear, but again, the ear doesn't do too much deformation. So if you end up breaking some of these loops, don't feel too guilty about it. Ooh, that needs more. Let's do one here. This up. There we go. I think that's gonna follow the shape. Okay. This is always a tricky part. Again, just like with the nose and the eye shapes and whatnot, the ear can be tricky, just because it is different. It's pretty different. Varies individual from individuals. So sometimes I don't think we need. This is not gonna be very fun to. Up. Again, following the shape. And then this should be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll probably have a try in there. That's not a big deal to me. Make some tries. I just gotta check to make sure. Yeah, see, I need a little bit more right there. And it's not the cleanest I've done it before. There's a lot more tries in there. If I could go in there and like really get rid of them, I think I can maintain all quads. But I'm kind of rushing through it. Sake of time. That's the form. Yeah, it looks a little bit messy. I've definitely done it cleaner before. Oops. Let's just go ahead and plug this in here. No, I can't do it. It's not following the form. I know, I'll close it right here. Because right now, like, something I like to avoid is, like, these kind of loops that are just keep spiraling inward. So I want to cut that off. But I'll just end it right here. So it should do that before I start the loop for the inner ear. Then this would be a loop. Here, and I'll just do one loop and then I'll skip. Yep, and then I would probably just continue this loop maybe one more time and then start closing it off for the inner ear. I think that's good enough for now. I kind of want to just go ahead and close it off a wee bit. Not too worried about the shape in here because it's the inside. It's going into the inner ear. I think the bake will help it. It needs to be curved more though. Just ooh, I think I'm gonna need one more loop right here. Yeah, let's do. Close that off. Let's see. Connecting the ear. Do a tab. I hate when tab does that. Just checking it to make sure it didn't do anything too crazy. Object mode. You can see it's doing weird stuff. There we go. Yeah, it's actually doing a pretty good job of capturing that shape. Since I'm out here, delete history freeze transforms, and I will reveal my high poly and go back into quad draw. Let's clean this up a bit. Not too bad. going through the jawline and moving these forward. Okay. What are we looking at? Time. Almost an hour and a half. Let's. So again, the ear. What I would do is I would go and continue that initial loop that we made, going around it. We want to connect it to. Well, what? Yeah. And then go in. I'd probably do like maybe 1 or 2 more, depending on how much. Oh, it looks like maybe 3. But I would go in here and like match this up. The nice thing is you can like hide a lot of tries back in the crook of the ear. It's just finicky when you try to do an insert edge loop. Sometimes you have to delete the polygon and then just like quad draw it back. Yeah, I do get pretty naughty with the tries in the ear. And even here, sometimes I'll like make tries, but that breaks the loop. So I should try to do it like right here. Oof, that's stretching that shit too far. We'll just keep going. But yeah, so you go through around the whole ear. Again, you can like utilize try. So let me show you a better example. So right here, I think. So you can see how we can, because we don't, again, we still don't need a lot of topology back here, right? So you still want to try to limit it. So this is a good way we can utilize tries to reduce the amount of topology going. Oops. Come on. Into the head. Space. Gotta work on my spacing. I didn't do a very good job in the front. So hopefully you can see how you can use that technique to kind of limit the amount of edges going into the side of the head. I didn't do a good job spacing this out. So yeah. So that's kind of like the technique I use for that. But yeah, and then it's just about connecting the head to the back. So what I might do is like, I forgot, since I tried all this out, it's gonna be okay. So I'm kind of thinking about it like a box now. So this is going to be like the front, like this is the corner, like this is the. It's kind of hard to see. This is the top of the head. This is the front of the head, and then these are going to be like the sides. So needs to come in. Is it too late? That's fine. So yeah, this is like the side. Always go back and smooth it out. But what I would do is going to be kind of quick and dirty. It's already going over how long I wanted it to take. Go out of quad draw. Kind of want this to be. There we go. Just relaxing that. So I would just drag this out. Pretty big chunks. It is annoying because you gotta like go in and straighten this out. So kind of like how this is like the corner where this is the side, this is the top, and this is the front. You have to kind of pick a spot where that's the back, or the same for the back. It separates the back. Let's do right here, maybe. So now we got the side, top, and this will start the back. And I'll get out of Quadra again, and I will straighten these. And even this one. Oops, maybe not. Smooth it out. I think I'm gonna need one more here though. And let's do one here, one here. I think that's doing a good job of like making the polygons big but not too small, so it's still gonna capture the shape. And I just gotta relax that because I did scale those, so I'm not sure if it conformed to the high poly. So now you can see how we can start looking at the neck. Come on. Uh-oh, why is that not? Oh no, some symmetry stuff got messed up, so let's do this. If symmetry starts messing up for whatever reason, maybe because I got out of quad draw mode, we could just resim it, or yeah, remirror it. So let's do mirror tool. It should be in the center of the world. We could do center of object though, and bam. 3, make sure everything moved correctly. So it looks like there's extrovert here. And yeah, some stuff got messed up in the head, it looks like, because it's not mirroring perfectly. So I'm just selecting the vertices and hitting backspace. Don't see any issues. There, good. And something you want to make sure if you remirror, these are pretty close together. So if your threshold's too low, these could weld. So you just want to watch out for that as well. Okay. So now let's go back into Quadra. There we go. Oops, hit 1. And if we needed to collapse this down even further, like the back of the head is a good place to like hide tries again. If you have to, if you want to be a little bit lazy about it. Which sometimes lazy is just being efficient. As long as you're getting good results. Definitely gonna need more edges coming there. Capture the back of the head more. Shift to smooth it. And then it's all just the game of getting this all filled out. Like with the ear and stuff. So what you might have to do is like collapse some of these into tries if you need to, just like we kind of did right here, to get the poly count reduced a bit. I can already tell like I need a little bit more topology here. I don't think you necessarily want to try right there. Kind of close to where the neck's gonna move. Also, I've seen some people like This is going to be a big deviation, but I have seen, and I've done this too, where like, because technically like your head bends right here, so what they'll do, probably what I should have done, instead of having the loop go perfectly around, they'll have the loop follow that angle more, which is honestly what I usually do. I don't know do this time. And then so like this, which honestly kind of gets you better deformation and whatnot. So for right here, what I might do is like have one. You kind of want to follow the sternocleidomastoid mastoid a little bit, especially if you're doing like face stuff, really detailed. Yeah, and then I would take probably like these two. Again, this is just like looking at the form of like the neck and whatnot. You'll see this a lot. Sometimes I hide because like your jaw, there's like depending on how like much muscle or fat you have, like your jaw is a pretty solid bony landmark. So sometimes I'll be like a little bit cheeky and hide tries under here. Probably not the best of practices, but again, I can get good results with it usually. Then I'll smooth it all out so I can just roughly kind of move these where I need them to be. can go in here and spread these out. Sorry, I'm not talking too much anymore. It's a lot of repeating just like the same things. When it comes down to it, there's no real special technique. There we go. So yeah, I think this actually results in like a bit better deformation in the neck. If you, instead of going like straight across, you just go up and kind of follow the neck more. I think this can come up. Starting to chug a little bit. I should probably delete history, freeze transforms. But yeah, that's the basics of like getting the face. And then again, it's just like that game of like filling these in, kind of following these forms and then filling it in. Kind of the same concept I did for underneath the jaw. You do for right here. Maybe make sure you have animation loops. So block it out larger. And I'll definitely cut more vertical lines in later, but this is just to get the make sure I have this kind of loop going around the neck. And then obviously I would fill this in first to see how many edges I have coming down before I like fill this gap in. But you have this animation loop. Let's do right here. And then you can like adjust how many you need, how many vertical ones you need, just that is needed. Then fill that in, right? So yeah, that's kind of my process for doing a head retopo using Quadra for Maya. Again, these assets will be in the description, in the link in the description below. If you want to grab the high poly head to follow along, I'll probably finish this head off and include that as well. So if you want to use my model as a reference guide, you can do that too. And the PureRef file I've been using will be included as well. So I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.